Wagwan people, what you saying? It is I, Diligent Fingers. It feels weird saying that intro, especially with how things are at the moment, especially with how my mind state is at the moment. The mixture of emotions, a lot of mixtures of emotions, because on the one hand I am trying to be positive, I want to be positive. On the other hand, there's a lot to be angry about at the moment. There's still a lot of pain to deal with. There always has been a lot of pain to deal with when it comes to racism. To the point where in terms of I'm inspired to do this video because I've been seeing a lot of people that I look up to, people that I sort of value their opinions. A lot of people talking about their black experience here in the UK, either in the UK and the US, and that and feeling encouraged to talk about their black experience. And maybe there's a higher sense of reassurance that, you know, this time will be listened to, you know, but relaying it back in terms of, you know, the mixture of emotions and things like that, you know, to me it was inspiring, but to me it was something that I'd heard time and time again for most of my life where I could understand things like this, you know. So, but what inspired me to make this video and to talk a bit about my experiences as a black man is the fact that there are people like me where subconsciously we've wanted to escape as black people. And I'm not talking about escaping our blackness, in a sense. I'm not necessarily talking about denying our blackness or sort of wanting to fully change ourselves. I mean in the sense of, because it's something that's so prevalent, it's something that we see all the time, we just cannot get away from it. Like, we see it all of the time. We see racism all of the time. Yeah, and that's not a bad thing, but that's not me trying to overblow everything. I think when you look out and you start to hear other people's experiences and hear other people's perspective, you start to realize how deep-rooted racism is towards black people. And I'm not saying that there is no racism towards Chinese people, Asian people, Muslims, you know, Jews, anything like that. I'm not saying that there isn't discrimination anywhere else. I'm not saying that. Again, I'm just trying to provide a perspective, and a different perspective that I've realised to add to the conversation. Because overall, if we can curb racism, I'm not going to use the word cure, but if we can curb racism, if we can make racism something of the minority rather than of the majority on all sides, and that, then, you know, it will be a better place for future generations. Do you know what I mean? My kids, grandkids, and things like that. But I realised that when it comes to talking about my experience, subconsciously I shy away from things like that. I already have an issue in terms of when it comes to my depression. I already have an issue of dealing with myself, like making myself a priority and things like that. And I've never hated the fact that I'm black. I've never hated, like, my blackness. I grew up in a household where I was taught to really appreciate my blackness. I was also taught that there's things that come with me being black. There's things that, I have to look out for as a young black man, that I've been taught, that there's things that are not set up in my favor as a young black man, but it has always been instilled in me to appreciate and love my blackness. When it comes to my depression, I may not love myself, but I love the fact that I'm black. I do love the fact that I'm black. No, there's nothing else I can say about that. There's no reason for me to hate my blackness. I hate the way that us as black people are treated. I hate many aspects that are negative towards us as black people, and that we may cause for ourselves as black people. But in that aspect, there's many races that has problems within their respective communities, so that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. Well, that is just not what I'm talking about. Not necessarily about it. That is just not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is subconsciously making certain decisions that sort of relieve, so to speak, the burden of being black. At that, not to the point where I won't ever compromise myself, but relieve the burden of being black. So in regards to my experience, growing up, I experienced the usual things. Being bullied when I went into foster care. And like me and my brothers and sisters started going through the foster care system, we were bullied because of the colour of our skin. We were taunted. We were attacked because of the colour of our skin. We received violence because of the colour of our skin. Discrimination. In some aspects, we were not treated within the care system the way that we should have because of the colour of our skin. It was a massive culture shock going into the care system anyway. And then on top of that, the culture shock of coming from a predominantly multicultural and black area, which was Moss Side, and then moving to a predominantly white area, which was Elmston. We went into care homes. We went to a couple of different foster cares and foster houses until we were settled with one foster family, which was a mixed race foster family. And in the area of Elmston, there was only probably one or two other black families that lived in the area. And from what I can remember, we were pretty spread out as well. It wasn't like we all lived on the same street or anything. We were pretty spread out. So it wasn't like I had regular contact with the other black families in the area. I was robbed. I was beat up as I went into my later teen years, and there was a situation where my younger brothers and sisters went back to their father, and I ended up staying with the foster family, which was fine. I have to big up the foster family. My foster mum was absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, with her being black, with her being a mixed race woman, she was dealing with racism. She was dealing with her prejudices herself, And at the time, I didn't really realise it, but looking back, I see the elements of racism that she was dealing with, even though she was within a sort of mixed family. Her husband was white, her kids were mixed, she was still dealing with racism and stuff. But yeah, when my younger brothers and sisters left and went back to their dads, that was the first time that we were sort of broken up as a family unit. Fully, we were all scattered now. My mum was in one place, because she wasn't well. My stepdad was in another place. My brothers and sisters were with him. I'm on the other side of Manchester. We were spread out. We were broken as a home. And as I started to grow older in my teenage years, I would see like old friends, some of my old like black friends and stuff. Because in high school, you know, and they would tell me things that are going on in the area. They would tell me things that was happening and stuff. But school was always a happy place for me because I was somewhere where it wasn't constantly thrown in my face that I'm black. When I went back to foster care, even though my foster family are great, the area itself was horrible. And for the first couple of years, I really didn't make any friends. Like the first year that I was in foster care, my foster family bought me a bike for my 14th birthday. And first time I go out riding, and that I get robbed. And the usual stuff, nigger, darky, do you know what I mean? Spear trucker, jungle bunny, all that kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? You're not even from the area. You fucking darky. What, you think you can ride around on this bike and think it's blessed? Like, nah. And I'm fighting like 2-3 people, trying my hardest to hold on to this bike. Do you know what I mean? Like, that I've got for my birthday. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, oh my God. Like, look at this mountain bike. Like, I'm really appreciative of the things that I do get. Do you know what I mean, in my life? You know, because even before the actual racism within itself, even before going into foster care, moving culture shocks and stuff like that, even before all of that, watching films, listening to music, has been majorly apparent. Do you know what I mean? That things are different. Things are set up different because of the colour of my skin. You know, so growing up in foster care, all of that kind of stuff is happening. I'd go back to my side to go and see my brothers and sisters as many weekends as I possibly can. Do you know what I mean? And here's where the subconscious escapism comes into it. Starts to come into it. Excuse me. I would go back to the area and I'd start to hear stories. Stop and frisk, stop and search. Do you know what I mean? Policemen beat it up. Do you know what I mean? My friends and stuff like that. I'd hear about these stories in school, but I'd go back to the area and really like connect back with my old community and start hearing things. Do you know what I mean? As well as speaking to my brothers and sisters and stuff like that. And over time, it gets to the point where it's that constant. I'm growing up, I'm seeing it happening in movies. Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood. Do you know what I mean? Cops, do you know what I mean? Just seeing the police just rise up. Do you know what I mean? Black people on Cops, American TV, NWA, Public Enemy, Rage Against the Machine. So many examples, so many protest songs, so many, do you know what I mean? So many things are already just in popular culture before I experience anything myself. So many things in popular culture are showing me as a black man, things are different for me. As a black person, things are negatively different for me. I leave school, I start to learn more. No, well, as I'm going through school and as you know, my elders and my family are teaching me, I start to learn more about racism. Do you know what I mean? The British Empire, going around Romans, all that kind of stuff. I start to learn about racism. Constantly being drilled into me that this world is not set up for me. This world is just not set up for me. So, as soon as I start to see discover things that, instead of when someone that doesn't look like me meets me, comes across me, do you know what I mean? You know, instead of it being a switch up, do you know what I mean, of, you know, attitude, experience, straight away because of the colour of my skin. If I can find ways to sort of jolt that, do you know what I mean, and make people take a second look at me, do you know what I mean, then I'll take it. So, you know, in school I'm growing up and in school, I'm learning about literature, I'm learning about language, I'm learning about, do you know what I mean, words, poetry. We end up learning like Shakespeare and things like that, and I'm really getting into it. I listen to hip hop all the time. I'm getting better understanding of how these people are speaking the way that they are and being able to connect words the way that they are and stuff like that. You know, I would write lyrics, do you know what I mean, and stuff. You know, I was making tunes. I was always making tunes and writing lyrics and stuff like that. But I started to, you know, as I got older and started to learn more about English literature and English language, I started to really, really connect with it and really enjoy it. So over time, my vocabulary starts to widen. I'm including more words, big words. I'm becoming more articulate. I'm starting to sound less and less like where I come from. And this was just a natural, or what I thought was just a natural sort of interest for me. And it connected with music and this, that, and the other. But over the years, I would start to see how, at first, the way that I would talk would be a good thing, and it would make people take a second look and stop them assuming that I'm a certain way. But then it would end up being used against me at the same time, like, oh, because I'm intelligent, because I can speak like a white guy, do you know what I mean? Like, or I think I'm better than white people. I think I'm more intelligent than white people. These are the little things that, there's the obvious things. Then these are the little things that you start to realize, like, wow, okay, so okay, I can't just move freely here. I can't just move freely here. Things like, being told when I'm applying for jobs not to have my hair a certain way, not to walk a certain way, not to wear certain clothes, not to, do you know what I mean? Because it makes me seem black. Like, I've had a job advisor actually say this to me, and he was probably the nicest guy in the world. I don't really truly know his intentions, but he helped me. I didn't feel as if the color of my skin had any kind of issue when I'm talking to him until that moment when I'm able to get a job interview, and there's a checklist that I have to meet because of the color of my skin before being able to apply for the job. You know, it's great. It's great that I'm intelligent, and it's great that I can articulate myself well. It's great that, I've studied this, and, I'm well educated. It's great. Those things are great. And to anybody else that isn't black, that would be enough. That would be enough. But because of the color of my skin, there's these other bits of criteria that I have to also include. You know? So when all of this is going about, yeah, when all of this is happening, yeah, I'm getting stopped and searched. I'm getting beaten up. I'm getting just verbal abuse on a regular basis anyway. I listen to music, I'm being reminded that I'm black and things are different because I'm black. I've got this niggling feeling in the back of my mind that at any point in time, any day, I could die. I could be killed. My life could be cut short just because of the colour of my skin. That's always in the back of my mind, no matter how good things are, because of how deep-rooted systematic racism is. I am constantly reminded that things are different for me because I'm black. So another example of unconscious, do you know what I mean, subconscious escapism. Music. I love Tupac. I absolutely adore Tupac. I love what he stood for. I love his music. I was a Tupac fan more than I was a Biggie fan, you know. But then it got to a point with me where he became too preachy, and this was what I would say, but in reality, I just didn't want to hear about it. In things that I enjoyed, I just didn't want to hear about how things are just horrible for me being black because I'm black. So I started to drift towards more instrumental music, more music without lyrics. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, because especially when I was making music, when I was first making music, I was making a lot of hip hop because that was the music I was predominantly listening to at the time. As soon as I started getting into drum and bass, and then realizing like it was something that I could make, it was something that I could understand, and that, you know, I really got into it because I felt more free in terms of being able to express myself. I felt more free. I'm still writing lyrics. I'm still making hip hop. I'm still writing lyrics because the inspiration for that will always be there. But in terms of my enjoyment, I loved making drum and bass. There wasn't that side of it that I needed to worry about. There wasn't that sort of hidden sort of racial obligation to highlight the fact that racism is going on within drum and bass. It wasn't, drum and bass and jungle wasn't born out of that kind of necessity. It came from people from that kind of background, from that experience. It was made by predominantly black people in the beginning and stuff, I think, because I'm not from London, so I can't completely confirm that because I wasn't in the epicenter of when jungle was first starting to come about. But I believe it wasn't something that was made out of necessity. It wasn't something that was made out of protest. I believe it was something that was made out of rebellion, of just mainstream culture in general, because it came from hardcore rave music anyway, do you know what I mean, as well as ragga and stuff like that. We were using elements of reggae culture, sound system culture, do you know what I mean, as well as elements from, you know, pop culture, bootlegging. I'm not going to get into the history of drum and bass, but I believe drum and bass and jungle wasn't made out of necessity of a struggle, you know. So when I first got into it, the fact that it was just so free, and then the more I would find out about it, the more I would see it was multicultural. Do you know what I mean? When I really started getting into it and started DJing, and, you know, the digital and internet age started taking off, I'm seeing other countries get involved, and, you know, China, like, you know what I mean? Brazil, like, look at it now, like, drum and bass is just touching all sides and stuff. And I love this scene so much. Like, don't get me wrong, I love hip hop. Hip hop will always be a root. Hip hop, reggae, do you know what I mean? Roots, culture, they will always be roots, foundations for me. But I love the drum and bass scene because I felt like I could express myself and be completely free, away from constantly being reminded that I am black and things are different for me because of the color of my skin. Even down to making this video, I didn't even want to make this video because I just didn't want to talk about my experience. I would put things in the way like, oh, because I've recorded this like a good 3-4 times now this evening. I would put things in the way like, oh, what if it's longer than half an hour? What about this? What about that? What about the algorithm? Da, 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 da. I would put so much in the way of me talking about my black experience. Not because I'm denying it in any way, not because I am denying my own blackness. It is just that painful, and there's a lot of us out here. It is just that painful. That painful. That it's just hard in general for it to come out of us. It's just hard for some of us to just really open up about it like that, because on one hand it's painful within itself, knowing that that's what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, On the other hand, if we do talk about it, we're being told that we're pulling the race card. We're being told that, it wasn't meant like that. He didn't, are you sure he said that or she said that? You know what I mean? I remember a relationship that I was in where, at first, for all intents and purposes, I truly believed that I was in a relationship with this girl, and she was a white girl. I truly believed that I was in this relationship, and she actually loved me. She actually liked me for me, my personality, my intelligence, how I was, because I was completely different to other black guys, and I would get bullied by my own for being completely different to other black guys. I wasn't into the whole, do you know what I mean? Like even saying the word nigger, like calling each other nigger and stuff like that. I'm just not into it. I hate that word. I can't stand it. And if you speak to any of my friends today, they will tell you, I may not have a problem with you using it between your friends and everyone who's okay with it, but I will have a problem with you calling it me, even if it isn't a term of endearment. I will not accept it from my own. I can't tell you what to do with other people, other black people that agree with that and don't mind that. That's cool. I'm not going to get into that really messy debate. But with me, you're not calling it me. You're not using that term on me. Especially as a black man, as another black man. You're not calling me a nigger. I am not that. That word is way too painful for me to ever accept it as any kind of endearing term. But that's another debate for another day. Yeah. But I would get into relationships fully believing that, you know, this person accepts me for me until we get into an argument. Until we get into an argument and I get called nigger. I get word gets used as a way to hurt me. Yeah. And even then I can't accept I can't I'm being told not to believe that that is actually racism. I'm being told that it's just being said out of spite. It's just being said to hurt me, but they're not really racist. They're not really like that. Yeah, I'm saying, like, and you've heard about that so many times as well. You've heard about that so many times as well. Little things like, oh, I'd love to have your kids. Why? Because they'll come out mixed and they'll look all attractive and I'm a very reasonable guy. I'm a very, very reasonable guy. And as much as because I love my blackness and I hate racism, I'm not going to perpetuate that. So I'm not going to hold one experience with a white person against a whole race of people. It's defeating, you know, it's defeating the purpose completely. I will be basically doing the same thing that has been done to me and my people. But it becomes incredibly hard to trust. And I throw the word love in with trust as well, because love is just another word for trust. And when both love is broken and trust is broken, you feel pain. You feel pain. Doesn't matter. You feel pain. So when it comes to things like that, I become very wary of what's going on, the relationships that I'm entering into. You know. But then getting back to subconscious escapism. Another thing that I realized was that my relationship, when it comes to relationships with black women, because of the scene that I got into in terms of music, the hobby that I took up, which meant, which kind of dictates the circle that I'm going to end up being in Do you know what I mean? Because I'm really into making music. I'm really into making drum and bass, and drum and bass is a multicultural scene. When I started looking at the relationships that I've had, and many of the relationships that I've had have been with white women, I started to look at, okay, why that is. And ultimately, it is just life. It's just how things have gone in my life. Do you know what I mean? There is as much as there is a lot of black people in the scene, there's a lot of black men within drum and bass. There's not a lot of black women within drum and bass, within the drum and bass scene, within drum and bass circles, and things like that. So it's never been a case of I've been in a bad relationship. Like, I've never had a bad relationship with a black woman. Things have ended up, I've had relationships with black women, but things have never ended up working out. And it's never been because of, any kind of preconceptions, or, do you know what I mean, I'm a bad guy, or anything like that. Look, past 16 years old, I've never cheated on a girl since. Never ever cheated on a girl since. So it was never a case of that. Do you know what I mean? Never any assumptions. It's just, we just weren't right for each other. So I can't even look at that as a reason as to why I've dated more white women than I have dated black women. But again, because of the unconscious escapism, me being within a drum and bass scene, and I'm not trying to use drum and bass as a scapegoat or anything like that as well. Because I was in that type of multicultural scene, because there's not that many black women within that scene, within this scene, I had to really look at, why. Do you know what I mean? Things are the way that they are. And it's not to say that I have any kind of fetish towards white women, or I regret any of the relationships that I have had, any of the interracial relationships that I have. It's just recognizing how subconsciously, because I want to not distance myself. I can't distance myself from my blackness. I can't distance myself from it. But it's just recognizing how much it sort of weighs me. It sort of weighs down on us as black people. Some of us get really angry about it. Some of us get really smart and vocal and activists about it. Some of us completely rebel against everything to do with white people. Do you know what I mean? And everything, they're willing to break the law, everything, because we see the systematic. Do you know what I mean? How deep it runs systematically. We see it. Do you know what I mean? We see it. So then it's just a total rebellion. If you ever really think, think about it. Think about this. Yeah. If you ever really wonder why so many black people are so sort of, not to say cool, but so many of us are so adverse to just breaking the law and just being completely against the system, it's because we see that the system, no matter what we do, and this is what I mean in terms of my experience, no matter what we do, I sound white, I am intelligent, I sound white, I am doing everything that could be perceived as more white culture than black culture. Yeah, I have had my own people say to me that I sound white. I have been whitewashed. I've had some ignorant black people call me whitewashed and this, that, and the other. For all intents and purposes, on paper, I am white. I could be white. It should not matter at all. At all. It should not have no bearing at all. But on paper, I could be white. Yeah. On paper, I could be white. Does not matter. As soon as this is recognised, the rule book is out. The rule book is out. Anything goes. Anything goes at all. So if you realise that, I've had conversations with my brethren. I've had them like, "Rah, why are you working for the white man, man? You know they're just gonna fuck you up anyway." And then they're not wrong. They're not wrong. I've gone into jobs because I'm black and I've been a token black guy. I have not got jobs when I know waiting to go into an interview, and I have conversation. I'm a friendly guy. I have conversations with the people around me, and I know that a person is not qualified for this job. I am better qualified for the job. I remember it distinctly. 2004, going for call center jobs, and it was me and one other guy, white guy, and that last people to get our interviews and stuff, and we're just chatting away and we're just talking, and that, and we're talking about what research we've done, what experience we've done, and he was just winging it. He's just there for the job. He's literally just there for the job. Like, if you could get it, then cool. Worry about it then. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, well, good luck. I hope things work out for you, but you kind of, fighting a losing battle here if that's like kind of gonna be your attitude about it. And that, but he's pretty cool and that cool. Yeah, link up, whatever. You know what I mean? Leaving that, both have our interviews, both leave. You know what I mean? Boom. I don't get the call. We get told, they're gonna go through all of the things. They're gonna go through all of the applications. If I don't get a call, then assume I've not got the job. Do you know what I mean? If I do get a call, then boom. Do you know what I mean? So I don't get a call. I've not got the job. But then the guy hits me up like, yo, I ended up getting it, I don't know how, but I ended up getting the job, And I'm like, yay. Oh, wicked, man. Wicked, man. I'm glad, you got the job and you can earn P's and this, that, and the other. But, wow. I'm qualified. I've done the research. I've got experience in this job before. What else am I supposed to think? Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm really good at interviews. Like, trust me, I'm really fucking good at interviews. The whole what you want to do in 5 years' time, all that kind of good shit. Like, trust me, I'm really good at interviews. It got to a point where, because I knew at any point in time this job could be fucked up if, like, an employer just doesn't like my attitude or does not like that I really like to question things. I really like to question processes. I'm not the type of person where if someone, especially in call centers, that's why I can't do sales. If someone presents to me a relatable issue or a relatable reason why this product that I'm trying to sell them is not going to be for them, then I can't objective handle and get past that objective just to get that first bit of the contract signing in and make that commission for myself. Like, I can't. I'm a reasonable guy, so I will question some of these things within the job. I'm like, if like, do you know what I mean? Or I've not hit my target, or I was listening to that call, you could have got round this, you could have got round that, and I'll be like, look, you know what I mean? Or look, well, at the end of the day, this job is not for you. Do you know, like, forget ratios. Forget about ratios. Okay, that one didn't work because obviously I'm not gonna get everybody. Do you know what I mean? That one doesn't work, but you'll be able to try for some other. No, forget ratios. Like, oh, this job isn't for you. You should leave. No notice. And I'm too young to realise, like, oh shit, there, I should have pushed for the fact that I had notice. I should have pushed for the fact of, do you know what I mean? Like, nah, you should leave. It's more of a case of I'm not willing to accept, do you know what I mean, what he is saying. Even though there's other people that agree with me, there's other people on the team that are doing worse than me. To the point where that job is just not for them. I've just not done one call. It's not like I've not hit any targets. Do you know what I mean? I've hit some targets. I've made some sales. Do you know what I'm saying? But because I question too much, and there's other white people that make these sort of the same distinctions as well, I must leave. And no, it's only afterwards when I speak to people about it, right, nah, you should get your, do you know what I mean? And then when I do actually try and when I do try and get the money, when I do try and get the experience, and that, it's put down that I've been fired for a completely different reason, or gross misconduct. Speak to HR. Gross misconduct. What do you mean gross misconduct? But now it's at a point where I can't do anything now. And then if I say it's anything to do with my race, I'm being told that I'm pulling the race card and shit like that. I remember being in a situation where I was living above a pub and two landlords are really getting into it. They've got some bit of rivalry to the point where, you know, one landlord sends somebody from their pub into, you know, the pub that I was living above, with a replica gun. People didn't know it was a replica at the time, but as soon as they realised and saw replica on the side of the gun, the guy who brought it in got fucked up. Like, he just got completely battered and shit. I come home from work. I'm working a late job at the time, and that I come home from work. The pub is trashed. I hear about what happened. I go to bed, have a spliff, go to sleep. I get waken up in the morning by police in blue jumpsuits, semi-automatic weapons, shouting at me, absolutely shouting, screaming at me, get up, wake up, wake up. I get pulled out of bed, I've got handcuffs on, I'm still in my boxers, do you know what I mean, and my socks, and stuff like that. I get brought downstairs, sat down, and the place is just getting ransacked by the police and stuff. Apparently, the landlord had called the police and told them that we were producing and selling pills, cocaine and weed on the premises. They didn't find a thing. That was what they were looking for. They did not find a thing. They tried to like pin a couple of crumbs on me, you know, from my room, but I told them straight, like, look, bro, I've been trying to find weed. I've been trying to buy weed, you know what I mean, for the last couple of days. Trust me, that would have been smoked. That is not mine. That has come from somewhere else. And even that, at first I'm like, you can fuck off. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that I'm just so brazen, like, look, I have been trying to get weed for the last 2 days. That is not mine. If that was in my room, it would be smoked. Trust me, I have scoured the room. That is not mine. That has come from another room. At first, I'm not thinking to myself, you know, that is racism. Until I realise, yeah, I'm the only black person that actually lives in this building or works in this building. Plot thickens. One of the other people that were living in that building, I think there was 4 of us, but only 3 of us actually stayed there. 3 of us actually stayed there. There was someone else that had a room, but it was constantly locked. Turns out that person that had that locked room was using it to be able to do pirated DVDs, CDs, music, all that kind of stuff. He had like multiple duplicator machines, 4 PCs set up in there and all that kind of shit. Because I got dragged in there and I got asked about it. Do I know about any of this stuff? I was just as shocked as everybody else to fucking see it because I had no idea. The room is locked. The room is locked, and the guy whose room it belongs to is not here. So this is the first time a lot of us are seeing what is actually going on in there. But I'm a music producer, so I've got a computer as well. Nobody else had a computer on that building except for the actual business computer that was downstairs in the pub. I have a computer as well. And at the time, I'm not earning that much, do you know what I mean, and stuff. I've not got that much. I'm just literally using this computer to make music, to get onto the internet, and you know, get on forums, nwdnb.co.uk, speak to other people that make drum and bass. But they seize my computer. Not to say that, not to say that, you know, not to say that I shouldn't have got in trouble for piracy or anything like that. Not to say that I shouldn't have and that, but even though I was nothing to do with this piracy operation that was going on in a different room, I just happened to have a couple of pirated bits on there, Reason, Cubase, and these were really expensive programs at the time to buy and stuff. So yeah, I really want to make music. I was making music in school. I had to like scavenge like spare PC parts from like my friends at the time to actually build my PC that I had and stuff. Yeah, if I can get the software for free at that time, I'm gonna be able to get this. I'm gonna do that. I'm not saying that it's right. Do you know what I mean? But you know, but because I was the only other person that had a PC or anything like that, they tried to make an example of me. First offense and stuff like that, like explain to them. I even explained at the time when they asked me about the pirated software. Yeah, I'm a music producer. Like, it's really expensive software. I have nothing to do with that guy. You can see on the computer, all I do is make music. You know what I mean? That's all I do is just make music. You can see project files, music after music and music and music. I didn't get any of that music back, by the way. I did not get that computer back. So that's years. That was like a good 3 years worth of music that I'd made. Like, just gone. Puff. Done. You know, pleading with him. You could speak to family, friends, all that kind of good, like speak to my family, all that kind of good shit. I get charged with copyright infringement. My job finds out, they fire me instantly. Regardless of what record that I had, I've had no problems with my job whatsoever. I absolutely loved that job. But they fire me instantly. Okay, copyright infringement. Okay, I understand. And stuff. Cool. I'm thinking I'm just going to get a slap on the wrist. Like, I've literally never been in trouble. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, I've been stopped and searched, but I've never been fully arrested or charged with anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking I'm just going to get a slap on the wrist. I'm being told that I've got to come back to court. Do you know what I mean? I could be looking at facing 5 to 8 years. I am absolutely shitting myself at this point. I'm like, how? Like, how? Do you know what I mean? Like, how is it just for that? Just for that, really? And I do remember that it was at a time where, you know, piracy was a big thing. I remember that, would you rob an old woman? Video piracy is the same as robbing an old woman. I remember all that kind of shit, but 5 to 8 years just for having a couple of dodgy music making software programs on a homemade computer. Cheap homemade computer. 5 to 8 years. Thankfully, because of the fact that I had, you know, character statements from a lot of people. I had a lot of people that supported me and taught, you know, and thankfully it was the fact that it was like my first offence. Do you know what I mean? And the judge can see that, look, this is just the wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing. You know, told me that, yeah, I'm lucky to have the people that are around me and they never want to see me in that courtroom again. And that. And then I find out later that the main guy only got 3 years. I could have got 5 to 8 years. But the main guy who was responsible for the actual room with all the stuff only got 3 years. His accomplice only got 2.5 years. Plus, this guy was known for doing this shit before, and he'd been in trouble, arrested, and charged for this shit before. But he only got 3 years. I could have got 5 to 8 years. It's little things like it's things like that you just don't think about at the time, and you just shit it, and then you come away from it, and you're just glad that you're out of that situation, and that it's the little things, like, you know, where it's just weighed down on you so much that you are black, I am black, and things will always be different for me because I am black. Like I said towards the beginning of this video, and I'm sorry it's so long, but, you know, well, I don't care how long this video is. But it's like I said in the beginning of this video. throughout my whole life, there's always been that little thing in the back of my mind that I could die. My life could be cut short just because of the colour of my skin. I remember even when I got arrested. You know what I mean? And there's other man them that lived in. There was other guys that lived in that pub, but I'm the only one who's got handcuffs behind my back, and I'm just in my boxers and socks. Everybody else has got dressing gowns, pajamas, and stuff like that. I'm not given time. I was the first one taken down. I was the first one down. Do you know what I mean? You know, I wasn't given any time to get dressed, cover myself up, any decency, but everybody else was. Remember, I'm the only black person on the premises. Like that. And if anybody remembers this story, like, again, I'm not saying that, you know, I was, the people that were around me that were racist to me. And that. But even then, there's been, even then, I'm like, there's been times that I've been in the pub and I'm getting conversations with people, and like some people will say to me, "Oh, you're all right for a darkie." I remember working in like an Irish pub. I got myself up to being a bar server supervisor of an Irish pub, and that was something that was commonly said. And then to sort of combat that, do you know what I mean? It'd be like, nah, but me, like, are you Jamaican? Yeah, I'm Jamaican. Oh, we're the same. We're the same. We were both slaves and stuff. You know, and I get it. I get it. I get it. You know, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. I do get it. But still, you're alright for a darkie. You know? And because, again, I'm surrounded by white people, if I say, oh, that's racist, or I'm pulling the race card, this, that, and the other, or he didn't mean it like that. And I had one person say, well, at least he didn't use the N-word. That's any kind of compensation, like, you know? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the tip of the iceberg, and that's just my life. I've got 2 younger brothers. I've got 2 younger sisters, as well as my mum, my dad, my gran, who came over in the 60s from Jamaica, my granddad. These are the members of my family, my cousins, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what you've just heard for the last 50 minutes, is just me. And these are the things that you don't normally hear about. These are the things that I wouldn't normally talk about because of the uphill hill climb I will have just for people to understand, and just like from my perspective, how much that hurts, how painful, how exhausting, how tiring it is. Oh, in the UK it's not as bad as over here as it is over in the US. Okay. You know, so like so many, where it gets to the point where it just wears you down. It just wears you down, and that. I started to realize like how subconsciously I'm just trying to escape. I'm willing to talk up about it. I'm willing to speak up about it and fight about it, and like it's not a problem. But then it gets to a point where it ends up being detrimental to me, no matter what I do, no matter how much I fight, no matter how much I point out that this is wrong, and just with it being between right and wrong, this is wrong. I am being treated differently just because of the colour of my skin. It's an uphill battle just for people to just understand from my perspective how much that hurts. So when you come across black people that just don't want to talk about it, they're just frustrated. When you come across black people that don't want to speak up, I'm not talking about the people that are just fully on the other side. I'm not talking about the people that hate their blackness, that have issues within themselves. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking about the people that are intelligent enough to know what's going on, But at the same time, we're just beating it out down enough that, you know, I love the fact that I am black. I will never deny my blackness. I will never deny that. Enough to the point where I will tell other black people not to call me nigger. And I will never deny my blackness. But to have to constantly defend myself because of it, maybe even if it's in a little way or a big way, it doesn't matter, to constantly have to defend myself, second guess everything that I'm about to enter into, just because of the colour of my skin. It's tiring, and for a lot of us, it's enough for us to just be quiet. And with history repeating itself, with us being sort of duped into thinking, oh, everything's a bit better now, things are going to change, and then being shown time and time again that things aren't going to change. We can't be blamed for feeling like it's going to be the same now. But at the same time, I had to realize this time is different. I had to realize that I have to move different. I have to think different. I will always speak out against racism. Always. I will always speak out against for equality. I will always, on all sides, I will always speak out. But understand, as a black man, it's something that we constantly have to do. When we get frustrated, when we don't want to talk about it, when we don't want to, when we're cynical about things. I was cynical about the protests. You know what I mean? I was cynical about all of these trends that were coming up on social media. I'm still cynical about things now. I still have that feeling that in a couple of months' time it's all gonna die down. It's all gonna, do you know what I mean? But I'm starting to see real changes. I am starting to see real changes. I saw a tower get torn down and dashed into the river in Bristol, and it made me so happy. It made me so proud that I feel like we are reaching critical mass, to the point where so many people care, enough people care now, that things are really starting to change. And I'm so appreciative of that. But at the same time, I'm telling my experiences, or some of my experiences at least, in a bid to just show people, if you come across black people that are still cynical, they're still, do you know what I mean, that still have low faith, do you know what I mean? If you come across people that are angry, you know, at the whole, just angry still, understand that this has been so deep rooted that not all of us are going to feel the same way. Not all of us are going to see things the same way. We all want the same thing. We all want equality. We all want us as black people to be on the same level playing field as everyone else. We all want that. But we may not see things the same way in terms of how we're going to get there and if we're going to get there. That's been part of the reasons why I don't often talk about my experiences, because for a long time I felt like there was no point. It'll be heard, but will it really be appreciated? Will it really be taken into account? But I have to move differently. I have to see things differently. I have to think differently. And that's why I'm talking about some of my experiences. There's nothing to be happy about. There's nothing to be proud of, I don't feel brave by doing this. But if it helps for people to understand a different perspective to all of this, to understand a different side to all of this, and it's not against this movement, it's not against Black Lives Matter, it's not against equality. I am not saying any of this as a way of I'm against any efforts that are being made. But if we're in a time where people are willing to listen to our perspectives, listen to our experiences, then I feel like I have to add to that dialogue, to that conversation. Most definitely. So, thank you for taking the time to listen. If you are making any efforts in regards to bringing about real change, please let it be genuine. And please try and stick to it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be extremely hard. And that's why I've been making sure that I take the time out, that I take the time off to really prepare for what's going on and what is going to happen going forward. Because things are going to change. I am definitely not the same anymore. Things are going to change. I recognise the allowances and the exceptions that I've made within my own path. Not got to be making them anymore. Same as I'm not going to be falling for the same tricks. I'm not going to be falling for the same social media outrage trend and this, that and the other. I'm going to be moving towards helping towards this element of change that I do actually see. I'm going to be moving towards taking this opportunity to be part of the change, be part of the solution. Thanks for taking the time. I don't know how to finish this. I don't know how, but thank you very much for taking the time to listen.